You've pretty much said that storage and recovery and long-term backup and stuff is starting to phase out. Can you talk about what you think it'll look like in 5 to 10 years? Do you see a terminus point at some point where this is, people talk about this like they talk about, Fortran or something like that?
There's a lot of Fortran.
There's a lot of we found that out last year. Yeah, we got a whole lot of people called back into active service here for
exactly
some very old languages.
I think that there's a personality at Storagezilla is his Twitter name. His name's Mark Toomey, and he makes a quote of saying that there's going to be a nuclear holocaust, and after the nuclear holocaust, you'll find a guy selling mainframes and tape drives, right?
Yeah, right.
That they're going to be around an awfully long time. I do think that the world of cloud-based data protection, there will be more and more things like Kubernetes and containers.
Yep.
If you're not familiar with Kubernetes and container, it does to VMs what VMs did to physical systems.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, so VMs broke back up. If you didn't know that, when VMs came out, it broke back up literally overnight for anybody who started. It's like, this is great. We can have one system behave like 20 systems. Meanwhile, you had a backup system that thought it was still running on 20 systems. Containers break backups if they were based on a VMware or a physical system perspective. The good news is that containers and Kubernetes and things like that it allows an environment to define what they consider an application. Too many times over the last decade or so, we thought of as a database as an application, a web server as an application. And it never really was. An application was a collection of things that do a bunch of things that accomplish a common goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kubernetes allows you to do that, allows you to define what an application is, which means that your data protection system, I think, over time will morph. I know that, Dhruva has worked on this where, when we look at Kubernetes support, we're able to protect an application and all of the things that comprise that application. And I think you'll see that more and more. The other thing is that literally, the world is moving to cloud.
Yeah.
The whole world won't. There will still be people and environments where it's more appropriate to be in the data center.
Mm-hmm.
But the bulk of workloads will be in the cloud. And the way you do data protection in the cloud is extremely different than the way you do it in the data center.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a whole lot of backup products that were based in the data center, that were built for the data center.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the last 5 or 6 years, there were backup products that were built for the data center. And, I can think of some of our competitors that built products to solve those problems that we had in the data center.
Okay.
But those products are now data center backup solutions for what has increasingly become a cloud-based workload. And so I would say that I think you'll see more and more companies like Dhruva that, will be doing cloud-based protection for cloud-based workloads, right? And I think it already has become a lot easier. I think that backup and recovery, data protection, disaster recovery, and all of those will become much easier. I do just want to comment on one thing. You said it twice in the podcast. I'm just going to throw out this thing: long-term backup.
Yeah.
So this sets off a bad place in my brain.
Okay.
So long-term means archive.
Yep.
Okay. So one of those things are like 3, 2, 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
The backup and archive are two, just like backup and DR are two different things. Backup and archive are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're talking about really long-term storage, most backup products are really bad at long-term storage. So because just really quick, if you store a backup of your laptop for, let's say, 15 years.
Mhm.
15 years from now, if you needed something from that laptop, you're going to need to remember what that laptop was called 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. And since we're talking corporations, that is, you're going to need to remember the name of the employee and the laptop and the name of the server. And you're going to have access to the application that was running 15 years ago.
Mhm.
That's if you have backup.
That's rough.
If you're doing true long-term storage, then you should be using an archive system, which is designed to hold data for really long periods of time.
Mhm.
That world is also changing as well.
Okay.
And it is a world where tape still reigns supreme because of its. Yeah. Tape is actually really good at holding onto data for really long periods of time, and it's also ridiculously cheap. So that's why
you need to tell me I got a whole basement full of cassette tapes, some of which I've had since I was a teenager. Exactly. I'm excited to announce that our Infosec Skills platform will be releasing a new challenge every month with 3 hands-on labs to put your cyber skills to the test. Each month, you'll build new skills ranging from secure coding to penetration testing to advanced persistent threats and everything in between. Plus, we're giving away more than $1,000 worth of prizes each month. Go to infosecinstitute.com/challenge and start your challenge right now.